Life in the now. Now faith. Life in the now. With Nicky Collins. With Nicky Collins now. Now faith. Life in the now. With Nicky Collins. With Nicky Collins now. Now faith. Life in the now. With Nicky Collins.
Welcome to the Life in the Now broadcast. I'm your host, Nicky Collins. Happy Monday, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. I just want to go ahead and get that out right now. I'm praying for each and every one of you to have an amazing holiday. This is Thanksgiving week. And even though we're in the midst of some very peculiar times right now, you can still find ways to enjoy your family, to enjoy your holiday, and to give thanks to Jesus Christ, the one who gives life, the life giver, the one who wakes us up every morning. So, try to enjoy your holiday week. So happy Thanksgiving. I want to go ahead and get that out of the way. Today, I have a very interesting show because we told y'all last week, we told you for the last 2 weeks that we were going to have our guest back on and he was going to share his testimony. And so we have our very special guest back on with us on today, Mr. Jerome Maples. We're so excited to hear a little bit more about his story. And so, I'm very excited about today. What about you, El?
Listen, anytime that there's an excuse to be excited, I'm excited. It's a holiday week.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving and the many more just holidays that are coming, Christmas and everything. I'm just excited about this part of the season and finding the good and the positive in spite of.
Yes, and that's what we have to do. We have to come to a place where we have to be able to redirect. We have to be able to redirect our emotions, our feelings, and the things that can come to cause negative reactions. So we have to get to a place where we redirect them to another place. That means go to our happy place. Go do some things that you love to do. Create a positive atmosphere around you. And so that's what I've done over the last couple of weeks. And I know everybody's like, what are you doing? But I put up my Christmas tree. I started putting up decorations or whatever. I'm not super superstitious in that aspect, but my thing is that this is the holiday season. Season meaning Thanksgiving and Christmas. So you know what? It's just time now that we celebrate Christ all the time. So to me, this is just a perfect time to express my thankfulness, my gratefulness, also to prepare the thanks, just how we celebrate his birth during this time. So you know what? This entire season is about giving thanks and giving glory to God, the one who truly makes things happen, the one who has kept us through this pandemic, the one who has, really revived us in a time when we were tired and wanted to give up. And so that word is for somebody out there. If you're tired and feeling like you want to just give up, don't, because God is still on the throne and he has the key to the plan, to the master plan. Like he holds the key. So just hold on. Just know that God is still with you and God has already graced you to get to where you need to be, that next level, that next place. He's already graced you to be there. All you got to do is trust him, trust God, and continue to move and walk by faith. So that's my motivation.
Hey, you see me over here shaking. If y'all don't see it, go on YouTube. I'm just rocking back and forth. Like I can just feel that. And thank you for that. Wow. Yes. Thank you. Celebrating Jesus all the time. It's just no set time, but now is the time. That is awesome.
Especially now. Now is the time. So, and that is the reason why I wanted to bring our special guest back on today. Because the topic of this show is, it's not about where you're from, but it's about where you're going. It's not all about where you're from, but it's about where you're going. And so a lot of times we look at negative situations and we're wondering, is this it? Is this my life? And so we start what is the word I'm looking for? Conforming. Yeah. The Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. We gotta be able to renew our minds. So a lot of times we conform to the place, the atmosphere, the environment, but that's not what we're supposed to do. There's a purpose that God has designed just for your life. And if you conform and if you follow the leaders, especially the negative leaders, you're going to end up in a place that you're not even supposed to be. So it's time now to get into a position where you can hear God and say, Lord, where is it that I'm supposed to be? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Because he created you. He made you. Whenever there's something wrong with your car, you take it back to the manufacturer. You don't want to just, some people go to the shade tree mechanic and that's okay. But me, I like to go back to the place where I got it from, because look, they know, they have the handbook on this thing. What is wrong with it? So go back to God. Lord, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing in this life, in this time, my time here on earth? And so it's not about where you're from. God used our parents to get us here. And then he starts cultivating us and developing us if we would just submit to him. So that's what it's all about. And especially in this is a season of divine purpose, even though it is a strange season, the season we've never experienced before, experiencing things, a pandemic that which no one have experienced that in 100 years, and so now we're experiencing some things that we've never experienced before. So this is a season of divine purpose. This is the time now where we have to say, God, what is my purpose? So with our special guest, we're going to talk a little bit about that, about walking in purpose and get his testimony. So, we're going to go ahead and bring him in. We just want to welcome you, Mr. Jerome Maples. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Life in the Now broadcast. Thank you for being with us for the last 2 weeks.
No problem at all, Dr. Collins. Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Awesome. I mean, I just love your testimony. I love your spirit. And I believe that this is the time where God is bringing those from the back to the forefront. Like he's bringing those people that has been hidden, and bringing them to the forefront, because he have done a work behind the scenes, and everybody's going to be able to partake of the goodness that God has done in that person. So, Jerome, we're talking about, it's not about where you're from, but it's where you're going. Where you're going. It's not about where you're from. So people can't define you by where you're from, but it's about where you're going. And so I want to set the stage for this, because you and I both, we're from Gaston County. We're Gaston County natives, born and raised. I know I was Gaston County. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
Yes. And so recently we have, and I say we because, my family, I work there. My heart is there. And so we have experienced some things over the last, maybe couple of years, but this year mainly, we have experienced uprising of violence among our youth. I mean, I'm talking about young people. We have experienced, I would say, rumors of gang activity in the area. And it seems like, our young people are fighting against each other. We're dealing with so much on the outside. We're dealing with the pandemic. We're dealing with social injustice and all of these things. But then they are turning on each other. And there's been a lot of murders, a lot of, like I said, violence, rapes. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, and a lot of people, they will label you by where you're from.
Yeah.
And so that's why I named this show. It's not about where you're from, but it's about where you're going. And even though you may have had a rough upbringing, a rough childhood, or even as a preteen, maybe it wasn't as good, but there is still hope. And that is my message today. That there is still hope. And so that's why your story was so captivating to me. And I love to hear you talk about it. And so I want you to share it with our radio listeners, our audience, about, a little bit about your story, and to show that there is hope and that God is still on the throne and he's still using people. He's still doing it,
Yeah, amen. Amen. I'm like that. And that's the perfect segue, into who I am and who God has made me to be. I mean, literally, starting off young, I had a, challenging childhood, I'd say, single mother, divorced, what have you. And, there were periods of times where, we were homeless in the sense where, no, I didn't, thankfully I didn't have to, sleep on the streets or have anything like that.
Right.
But, we lived at Christtown, which at that time was in the Quincy Motel or what have you, I think it is, or out on Pat Thomas Highway. And so, I went through multiple periods of times where, just not knowing where, the basic necessities are going to come from, or have you, no fault to my mom, no, because everyone have their issues or what have you. So, thankfully, God got me through that. Me being able to be surrounded by, random people in a sense, the custodians at my school, different people who just decided, that they weren't going to allow me to be a statistic. And because I, slightly listened, because I didn't listen the whole time. Even one of my mentors today, Mr. Davis, Tom Davis, one of my former teachers, like in middle school and then in high school, but he's been a very integral part of who I've become, what have you. But it's like when he first met me, he threw me out the class a couple of times because I was one of those trouble students, what have you, would play in class and all this stuff. But God has really blessed me. I haven't been, I'm not always necessarily the smartest person in the room. I'm not necessarily the most best dressed, I guess you could say. Even throughout my younger time, what have you, in school, what have you, wearing clothes that had been, bought from the Goodwill, what have you. But I wasn't ashamed of it. It was who I was. I didn't shy away from what have you. A couple of my suits, even in adulthood came from Goodwill, what have you. But it was because I understood, or God was able to give me the mindset to understand that, this is only temporary. Where I am is only temporary. And because I made the slight choice to listen, he really, really ended up blessing me, to get to many different places, to get a full ride scholarship. And and I was barely making it when I say on ACTs and all this stuff, what have you. So, a lot of times, being from Gaston, yes, there's a lot of people, who tell you, oh, you can't do this, or oh, you never be anyone. I was told it all through school. Teachers that, even I still remember today, who told me that I wasn't going to make anything of myself. And, and so you're fighting up against that, and also your family history and your own beliefs in yourself. But, what I always try and push and what I always try and share is you make that decision. It's like, it doesn't take much to, in a sense, I don't want to say make it, but to get to where you want to be. But you have to make that decision. You can't allow anyone or anything around you to deter you from that decision. Especially in the day and time that we are now, a lot of the things that we're exposed to just by the internet, just by YouTube. It's like you can really get wherever you want to be. You just have to make that decision. You know, and it's hard. You know, I get it. You know, they're, you know, coming up sometimes, you know, in gas has been very, very hard, but there's always opportunities. And like I say, even more so now.
Right, right. And that is something you said a few things that, just kind of like, really made my heart go, oh my God, because it was with us, with my family. We were not uh rich. We didn't have it all at all. My family is still in the same place that they've been all my life. My mom, single mother, raised 5 children alone. Um, very bad living conditions most of my life. And so it was rough. It was a tough challenge for us, but I knew my mom was doing the best that she could.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
knew that. And she really spoke some things into us. Like she wanted us to do better, and she pushed, and even though we didn't do everything that we were supposed to do, we didn't all the time. And we had to go around the mountain to get to where we are today.
Yeah.
But you said something that you lived at Christtown for a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yeah,
see,
it was. Go ahead. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it was, you know, when I was in, it was like crossover, I guess. You know, I had just left elementary school or just was leaving elementary school. And we stayed there for about, I would say maybe a year, 2 years,
Mhm.
somewhere around there. But, you know, even, and it's crazy, you know, I'm thinking about it now, you know, I guess to the normal person, it would have been a real rough time. But for me, it's like, you know, because I always try and see the glass half full, you
Mhm.
know, I enjoyed my time. It's like, that's when I wanted to be a police officer. So I was like the security officer for the grounds or what have you. Um, so and I met a lot of people, you know, I met some really great people, what have you, you know, and people that are still there. Well, it was used to be Bob Wells. He's passed now. But his wife, Miss Laura, you
Mhm.
know, I think she's still like ministering there, what have you, and still running the place, what have you. But you know, they helped me a lot in a sense, you know, and it's when I say that, I mean they helped me understand who I was.
Yes.
You know, although we're in this real tough situation, you know,
Mhm.
God is always there's always a reason for it.
Yeah.
And if we get that reason, you'll be so much better off. And you know, not you know, I'm a person of faith, and so I always I hold dear to my faith, because God has gotten me out of some, you know, crazy situations and put
Yes.
me in some rooms that I never thought I'd be in.
Right.
Um, and
Absolutely.
and it was because I decided at a split second, you know, or I decided to fully pray about it, to fast and pray about it, and to
Mhm.
really, you know, push the issue, I guess you say, in the sense of, okay, God, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? And I mean, you know, there's been countless times where I've gone against even that mentor, Tom Davis, where, you know, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. And he's like, well, Jerome, you know, because he's there in a sense, I won't say conservative, but, you know, grew up in a time where, you know,
Mhm.
you do things a certain way.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was like, you know, I'm leaning on God and I'm like pushing the envelope, like, Lord, you know, this is where I'm trying to go. Show me the way.
Wow.
And you know, and thankfully, you know, he has. And you know, it's just amazing.
Yes, like I'm telling you that story, it always gets me because you never know how a situation, being in a tough situation, can cause a person to to tap into purpose. Because
Mhm.
if you hadn't have gone there and encountered the wells, then how different could it have been? But
Yeah.
it was because you were in that situation and was living at Christtown, which, I know Christtown, they've been in a community for years, still there now. A lot of people still go there when they're in need and utilize the ministry. And
Mhm.
so I just seeing that, just hearing that, just shows how blessed you were. I've been in situations that it's like, oh my God, what good can come out of this? Then all of a sudden God shows up like never before. And so that's that situation. And that is right there in Gaston County. And so you go from that place to now being where you are right now with with your current job, the things that you've done. Can you tell us a little bit about that now? Because, I just want people to understand, and there may be young people listening, maybe some parents that are listening who have, teenagers or young children, to know, even though where you are right now, it may be a tough time, and I know you're doing the best that you can, but, continue to pray for your children, continue to cover them, because you don't know who you're raising up, who you're grooming them to be in the future. So kind of, tell us that L.Michelle told us that we're kind of running out of time, and I'm not done yet, but tell us about where you've come from that place and now where you are right now.
Yes, ma'am. And I have to, I guess I need to start with, I need to go back to the middle school and start with Mr. Davis, in a sense, because, him and even Dr. Gail Bridges-Bright, two teachers of mine who decided to push me towards like student government. And they seen something in me that I didn't see. I mean, I really had not seen myself in government or anything, dealing with that. I had no clue about it, but, they pushed me. I mean, they took time. Dr. Gabriel's right was taking me up and down the state to SGA conferences, paying out, her pocket, her and her husband will have you, and just seeing the small speck inside of me. And, because of that, because, Mr. Top, Mr. Davis, put me in for the student school board position in Gaston County. It spiked this interest of mine into politics. And, and I just kind of went with it. And I mean, there's so many people, and I shouldn't even name names because there's so many who after that decided, okay, Jerome, hey, I'm gonna push you. Hey, I'm gonna sign you up for this, or hey, I'm gonna, sponsor you for that. And, it's so amazing. And, and to those, young people out there, it's like, find that thing that you love to do, and then figure out how you can do that. And in a sense, and this is the business why, figure out how you can do that and someone pay you to do it.
Wow.
Now we're in a day and time where you can do just about whatever you want. And I mean, in Gaston County is like, and I always tell people, look, don't look down on Gaston County. I don't, we may have our struggles just like anywhere else.
Right.
One thing about Gaston County is the grit. It's like, if we can put that grit behind something that we want to do, there's no stopping us. And I mean, that's been for generations. It's like when people say I'm from Gaston County, it meant something. And it still means something today. Yeah. We just push the issue to make sure that people outside of Gaston County understand that, we know we can be who we want to be.
Yes.
And, because of those, different things, I was able to work in the Capitol, intern in the Capitol, and I'm thinking about all these different people, and that's what God to do. He'll send you random people, and that's why I tell people, that's why I especially tell young people, be careful how you treat the stranger.
Come on.
Because you never know who's going to be on the other side of the door that you're trying to knock on.
My God.
And because I was, I'm just, a kind person. So I love people because I see the good in people. I was able to meet these people, and people, randomly just, once I needed to get somewhere, they were the ones that were helping me get there. And I mean, it went from the Capitol, it went to being on the Hillary national campaign and I mean, I completely had no idea when I left FDOT, I didn't have any clue what my next job was going to be after that campaign. Wow. Like I literally had nothing. And mind you, I am married with a child. So right. It is, it's like, yeah, it's crazy in a sense, but it was because I've leaned on God a lot. And, I continue to say I have a very supportive spouse. So, she was able to deal with this, and she also, we were in tune with what we felt God was leading us. And because of that, I mean, literally I did the Hillary campaign, got a I mean, there was a period of time, maybe 2 months, where I didn't have a job. You know, we're down in Orlando, and I was putting in applications, trying to, because I was like, Lord, you told me to take this leap, and that was going to lead to, me getting into my field or what have you. And it was so random. It's like applying for state rep Davis position, but she didn't want to stagnate me. And it was all from an interview with her for her position, but she knew someone else with a position. And that's how I ended up getting in the Senate. And, and because, it's like because of all this, now I am where I am today, where I've just ran one of the, top state Senate races in the state. And God has blessed me to be able to do it where it covers my hometown. So now I get to come home and get to work with someone who I really believe in, who really cares about Gaston County, to now trying to actually make change for the county. Because now, of course, I'll be one of her legislative assistants as well. So, it is, there's nothing that God can't do, and there's nowhere that you cannot go as long as you make up in your mind that you're gonna stay on that path, and that you're gonna push, that you're gonna, in a sense, put those blinders on and run your race. And that's what you have to do.
Wow. What a story. That to me is like God, just God in the flesh. We look for God to be, oh, he's in heaven or whatever, but he has so many people here working and put them in our path so that it can lead us to where we're supposed to be, right in the midst of purpose, right on the rhythm of God. And I've been talking about that for weeks, the rhythm of God. And it seems like you have gotten right in the rhythm of God for your life. And so that is what makes this so powerful. Jerome, oh my God. Like, I think it's going to have to be another part, because we're really not done, but we're going to have to close out this session. Our time is up for this show, but I need you to come back on and kind of share some more with us. So, I think you're just going to be another face on the show, another voice on the show with me. So we'll have to talk about what you guys are doing in the community, talk about things that are coming up and what, the people need to know. So I'm going to have you back on again. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I pray that there are so many out there that listens and that it motivates them to honor those mentors, listen to those mentors, and move forward in their life. So thank you again for joining me on the Life in the Now broadcast. And all of you that are out there, again, we want to say happy Thanksgiving. Jerome, do you want to say happy Thanksgiving?
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, you guys enjoy your week. And until next time, we love you. And remember to live your life in the now.
All right. And you're clear.
Oh my God, that was so powerful. I mean, we really pushed the time.
I had to chill the whole time. Even when you all were talking, I'm like, oh gosh, I can feel it. I can feel it. So when you was like shaking, I'm like, yes.
Hey, the Lord, I just get so amazed that I watch y'all like I'm not here. It's so weird. Like I'm sitting like I'm in front of the TV, like, oh, and this was so powerful. And I'm going to make sure that we share this with our teams. I'm going to turn this into an activity. I need y'all to listen to this, especially middle school. I was about to cry because that is a pivotal point. Yeah. And I believe that. And I'm so glad to be in the middle school arena.
Yes. And it's needed now. You see, I just want to be able to help, in whatever way we can help, especially with this stuff that's going on now. We're losing too many children. We're losing too many.
Yeah, and it's it's crazy because it's like once you get on, in a sense, this side. I don't want to say this side, but it's like once you've gone through it and you're now, it's like you realize, oh my God, like how many kids we have who can do the stuff that I'm seeing these people make multi-million dollars doing.
Yes.
I mean, kids that we have who are smart. I mean, smarter than me. And I tell people, I'm like, look, I was not the smartest one in the room. It's like book smart, not at all. It's like whatsoever. And so it's like, I know that there are people, you know, in our community, students that are coming up now who can really do a lot of this stuff that, I mean, literally, where other kids who are exposed to, or not even just the exposure, but who decide that, okay, look, I'm not going to be a statistic. And then that's when, and I mean, being from Gadsden County, it's like, look, we don't need much. It's like, we don't need much. We can make a lot out of that penny.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I just, you know, I believe that this is gonna truly. I think that some people, like you said, make it into an activity for them. Let them be able to listen to it and hear, and even just maybe come on the show, just to, you know, be a part of it. Exposure is everything. And like Jerome said, he's been in the room with these people who are making millions of dollars, you know, and we know there's a whole lot of kids out there who are just smart, who can do it, who have the drive, but they get connected with the wrong crew. And that's when things start to, you know, it's all about your connection. Who are you connected to?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, who's speaking in your ear? That's why when Jerome, when you was talking about Mr. Bill, is his name Bill at Christ Town?
Wells.
The Wells?
Yeah.
That's a blessing.
Bob Wells, there it is.
Bob Wells, yeah. That's a blessing that you had people like that. Then you had the mentors from school all throughout, just being able to listen to people, you know, and move.
Yep. And it's so true. It's like, and it's, you know, and I look back on it, I'm like, God, it's like it's like, for me, it was like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, you know, once I got baptized, that's when I fully connected with God. But then now I'm sitting here, it's like, once I look back, I'm like, no, Jerome, that was God connecting. That was God touching you throughout, you know. And I mean, multiple times, multiple people. I mean, even random people, in a sense, to me, you know, people who, you know, in society, they're not seen as, oh, this is someone you will cling on to. But I mean, there were custodians at West Gadsden High School that did more for me than, you know, other people in my life. I mean, people who, I mean, even if it was just Jerome, keep going. Jerome, I know it's tough, you know, just putting, you know, just instilling that, you know, kindness, that love. I mean, it was amazing. It's like, it's nothing but God. It's nothing but God.
Wow. Well,